Good evening and thanks for making us a part of your Friday. I'm Tim McGonigal. First at 10, hundreds of thousands of ballots are in the mail today as Montana prepares for an all-mail primary next month. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian looks at what voters need to know about this unusual election.
On Friday morning, election offices around Montana began sending out ballots for the June primary election, as they do every 2 years. But there was a big change. Mail ballots weren't going just to those who asked for them, but to all active registered voters. Governor Steve Bullock directed that counties could decide to hold the primary by mail to reduce the risk of spreading COVID-19. All 56 counties took that option. Election officials estimate about 600,000 ballots mailed out statewide Friday. Lewis and Clark County officials say they usually have 50 to 60% of their voters request a mail ballot.
And so that number has gone up, but it's not a drastic increase for us.
So what will you receive when your ballot arrives? For the vast majority of voters, there will be 3 individual party ballots, along with a secrecy envelope and a return envelope. You can choose one and only one of the party ballots to vote. Once you're done, put it inside the secrecy envelope and the return envelope. Sign the back of the return envelope and then mail it back in. As of this year, the other 2 party ballots can be discarded.
In past elections, we would mail out the ballot secrecy envelope and we would mail a second envelope for those unvoted party ballots. You didn't have to send them back, but it gave you somewhere to put them in to send them back. That law was changed last year. So now we're not sending out that envelope and voters aren't required or instructed to return them.
Bullock also directed that voters who receive a mail ballot for this election be able to return them without adding postage. In Lewis and Clark County, they simply put stamps on each return envelope.
In other counties, you might see business reply mail on the envelopes, or you might see metered postage in the top right corner. But statewide, postage is covered on those return envelopes and voters don't need stamps.
In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
The governor's order also extended the regular voter registration deadline, so there's still time to register by mail. If you need additional information or if you don't receive a ballot by May 13th, you can contact your county elections office. Well, for much of today, linemen continue to work to restore power to several areas north of Geyser. According to Fergus Electric Cooperative, 18 poles broke overnight Wednesday thanks to snow and heavy winds in the area. Fergus General Manager Scott Sweeney said that his crews worked until almost midnight last night. They were back working early this morning, and he was hopeful the remaining power outages could be fixed by the end of the night tonight. Well, just a few days after a spring storm moved through our state, rain returned once again today. Brandon Michaels joins us now. Brandon, this round of rain wasn't quite as heavy, but some of us still picked up quite a bit.
Yeah, we had some pretty good showers that worked their way through the area, especially around Great Falls, but the rain is kind of exiting right now. You can see it's kind of pushing off to the south, so places like Helena could still see a stray shower, and we still got a little bit of activity in Cascade, Judith Basin, and also Fergus County, as well as extreme eastern Roosevelt County. But again, things are kind of winding down through the night. Picked up 4/100ths of an inch in Helena, so not all that much, less than 1/10 of an inch of rain. Really, the heaviest rain fell around the Great Falls area, where they picked up over 1/3 of an inch. But it wasn't just rain. Actually had some fairly strong winds accompany the passage of that cold front. 36 miles per hour in Great Falls, up to 41 miles per hour in Glasgow, so some stronger winds there. The eastern part of the state took a little bit longer for that cold front to work through, so in general they were a little bit warmer today. Almost 70 in Jordan and Glasgow, made it up to 60 in Helena. Places like Great Falls, Lewistown, and Cutbank were cooler with highs only in the 50s. As we look forward, though, it's clear skies in the forecast for our Saturday, at least for most of us. We'll talk more about that later in the show.
All right, thanks, Brandon. We'll see you then. Montana has no new cases of COVID-19 to report today. The number of active cases is down to 22. The number of confirmed cases remains at 458. 6 people are hospitalized, while 420 Montanans have recovered. Governor Steve Bullock says thousands of Montanans are applying for new emergency grants aimed at helping those hit hardest by COVID-19, and some already have been approved for assistance. Earlier this week, Bullock announced 9 new grant programs with up to $123 million available to individuals, businesses, and organizations. The money comes from the Federal CARES Act. Bullock said during a news conference today that 2,000 applications were started within 15 minutes of the filing window opening. 5,500 small businesses in the state have applied for just one of the programs, a stabilization grant for those that have lost revenue, and 150 have been approved for funding.
It's clear from the thousands of businesses applying for one program alone that Montana and Montana businesses need support getting through this difficult time. The agencies operating these grant programs have enlisted additional staff to review applications and get the funds out as quickly as possible.
One of the grant programs offers funding for local and tribal health agencies for COVID-19 response, including expanded contact tracing. Bullock said half of Montana's reported cases have been found through contact tracing. 41 agencies have already applied for the funding. Well, the April jobs report is showing just how critically the pandemic has hurt the U.S. economy. The report shows unemployment is at 14.7%. It's the highest it's been since the Great Depression and a 10-point increase over the month of March. Nearly 20.5 million Americans lost their jobs last month. All major industries saw losses, but hospitality, manufacturing, and retail took some of the biggest hits. When asked about the jobs report, President Trump said he thinks it's all temporary and that many of those jobs will come back. Well, the wastewater that the city of Helena is producing is being tested for COVID-19. Wastewater goes to the treatment facility and a sample from the screened water is taken approximately every hour by a machine right outside the intake. It's then sent off to a company specializing in wastewater epidemiology, which can screen the sample for COVID-19. Though it isn't the end-all be-all of determining factors for showing whether COVID-19 is in a community, according to a county leader, it's a good start.
If we're seeing 0 tests come back positive and we don't see it in the city or in the wastewater, that's fantastic. That's fantastic data. That's what we're seeing right now. If we do start to see it, then we can make that decision. Hey, it's important that we draw back right now because we're starting to see this disease. And it's just one of many indicators.
The city has sent off 3 samples and has received results for 2, which show no presence of COVID-19 in the wastewater. Right now, the tests are being covered by a grant through the end of May. After that, each test will cost a little over $1,200. Today marks the 63rd day of the Blackfeet tribe's stay-at-home order. The tribe wants to remind folks that all restrictions are still the same. They're asking that people wear a mask in public. The tribe was recently approved for over $30 million from the federal government as part of coronavirus funding. MTN spoke with James McNeely, the public information officer of the tribe, who says the money will be going to COVID-19 prevention.
And that would be, making sure that we have adequate testing supplies, personal protective equipment, and other things related to this outbreak. And we'll get a more definite plan put in place here as we go along.
Overall, Montana tribes will be receiving more than $172 million from the federal government. Well, a group that helps provide food to families is asking for donations during this COVID-19 pandemic to bring help to local tribes. Essential Eats is known for providing monthly pantry boxes to Babb, Blackfoot, Heart Butte, and East Glacier during the school year. But they tell us that this summer it's going to be different as they're in need of funds to supply families who are having to practice social distancing. The executive director says times have been hard.
This is a very difficult time. It's hard to ask people for money. It's hard. Foundations are broke. And a lot of people are asking for a lot of things, and we're not really a big enough organization to compete. We don't have all that media. We don't have all those, because we're all volunteer, we don't have all that stuff together.
Essential Eats will be setting up an account at Stockman Bank for those wishing to donate. We have more information on how you can help on our website. Smoked American Barbecue in Great Falls was ahead of the game when it came to stopping their dine-in food services back in March. Even then, they knew that shifting to a takeout only during a global pandemic would be a tough road. Owner Trevor Kavanaugh said he wasn't sure how businesses would be faring during the coronavirus pandemic, but business is going well. They continue to sell out every day, which helps with rising operating costs and meat prices. Trevor says they wouldn't have been able to stay afloat without the unwavering support of the Great Falls community.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you always felt that there was a community feel downtown, and the people who work downtown always supported you. But what we started seeing was people who'd never been in the restaurant before and coming in to buy something, not necessarily because they felt like they needed to eat barbecue, but because they felt like they wanted to support a restaurant.
Trevor says they've added some socially distanced outdoor seating as well as hand sanitizing stations. Well, after nearly 20 years of business, one wine cellar has decided his career has aged long enough. Earlier this week, Great Falls wine and beer store Vintage Cellars announced they plan to close next month. Although many businesses who've closed their doors have done so due to coronavirus or financial concerns, store owner Gene Betts said his decision to get out of business has been a long time coming. After Betts and his wife spent the past few years looking for store buyers to no avail, they decided that retiring was the best decision. In the 2 decades he's served his community, Betts has formed relationships that will make leaving bittersweet.
More than anything else, I'm going to miss our customers, because we've had very, very loyal people. I mean, we've got people that have been coming to us for 20 years. I've got people that have been in my wine club for 18 or 19 years from the day we first started it. And yeah, it's going to be hard saying goodbye.
Betts said the store has no official closing date, but he hopes to close up shop before the end of June. Well, Mother's Day is Sunday, and some of the traditional celebrations will be a little different this year. We'll have that story when the news continues.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 10 o'clock news continues on Montana's News Leader.
Welcome back. Dining out is typically a popular option for families when it comes to celebrating Mother's Day. But the bouquet you might want to buy or the restaurant you may want to treat mom with could be different. MTN's Jessica Nelson explains how things are going to look somewhat different on this Mother's Day.
Probably 30% of my business comes from Mother's Day week. It's like a 3-4 day period.
Pamela Lee owns the Floral Cottage in Helena. She says Mother's Day is second only to Valentine's Day when it comes to the floral industry. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic, she has faced some big challenges this year.
The hardest part with Mother's Day this year has been actually getting the product in, because a lot of our places we buy from is like Florida, Washington, California. They're still under quarantine. So we're not able to say, yes, we'll have peonies, or yes, we'll have tulips. It's, you know, what we can get, we will have for our people.
According to a survey by the National Restaurant Association in 2018, 47% of moms wanted a restaurant meal. 15% of moms wanted a bouquet of flowers. And 87 million adults went to a restaurant on Mother's Day. This year, things will be much different.
Typically, for Mother's Day at the Smoke Jumper station, we do a large buffet, and it's a huge piece of our business because we usually get hundreds of people in that day.
Governor Bullock's phased reopening allowed restaurants to open on May 4th with specific distancing requirements. But the Smoke Jumper is still closed to customers wanting to dine in on Mother's Day. Instead, they have decided to team up with other small businesses in the area and provide gift basket deliveries.
The Smoke Jumper gift baskets are trying to be as Montana-centric as possible. We have some really cool products in there. We're working with Montana Book Company for some of their puzzles. We'll have these great alpaca socks from Alpacas of Montana, or we just have a wine basket because every mom deserves a little wine right now.
Tricia Romero owns Los Cazadores in East Helena. She says her loyal customers are what have kept them afloat the past few months.
I think they were worried that we were going to go under, and they wanted to keep us here, so they kept on going for us.
Tricia says the phone has been ringing off the hook, but now that their dining room is open, she's hopeful people will choose to come in and sit down to eat. Reporting in Helena, Jessica Nelson, MTN News.
And Jessica reminds us to be sure to check around. Many restaurants, such as Los Cazadores, are running Mother's Day specials. The Montana Independent Living Project is selling raffle tickets for an all-expenses-paid trip to the Kentucky Derby. The nonprofit that promotes independence for those living with disabilities had to cancel last week's annual Derby for Disabilities fundraiser because the Kentucky Derby race itself was moved to September. However, the Living Project is still doing a fundraiser for the all-expenses-paid trip. Each ticket is worth costs $100, but only 200 tickets will be sold. The organization says the entire value of the trip is about $12,000, and it will include airfare, hotel, tickets to the Derby, and $500 spending money.
We were disappointed, but it's, I guess, maybe when you get lemons, make lemonade, and we around here are always excited about the Kentucky Derby and the Derby for Disability.
You can contact the Montana Independent Living Project main office or check out their Facebook page to buy a ticket.
Well, we're tracking a sunny day tomorrow, but actually a pretty significant cool down in the forecast too. We'll have details on both of those up next.
Now, here's your Storm Tracker weather forecast with meteorologist Brandon Michaels.
Well, last night we showed you a picture of the moon shining through the clouds. Tonight we're going to show you a more clear picture of that beautiful full moon. Thanks, Wendy, for sending that one in. That's a nice shot. Moon is just getting away from the full phase now. Probably not going to be able to see that currently, though. Still got a lot of cloud cover working its way through the state. Still that big area of low pressure to our northeast. That cold front is swinging away from us. This whole system is swinging away from us, and in general behind that we are looking at some cooler temperatures, but also some clearing skies. We're going to take a look at the Doppler network here. It's still a pretty good band of precipitation stretching from kind of the North Dakota border here all the way down towards the Billings area, and still some lingering precip kind of caught up in the mountains of central Montana. So still a little bit going on here this evening. Already starting to see a little bit of clearing up toward Cutbank and Havre. In general, through the night tonight, 1 or 2 little showers still lingering in the higher terrain, but not too much else. We're going to keep the cloud cover around for many of us through the morning hours tomorrow, but by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon, as we'll see right here, we're looking at sunshine for at least most of the area. Helen will be nice and sunny, Lewistown, Great Falls, Cutbank. You get off to the north and east, though, we're going to see a little bit more cloud cover and then actually the development of some showers and maybe even some thunderstorms into the afternoon. So not everybody is going to be staying dry tomorrow, but really I think most of us are, and we'll continue to see those into the evening hours. And then maybe 1 or 2 showers on Sunday, not as widespread by any means, and I think a decent amount of cloud cover into the day on Sunday as well. So I think at this point, Saturday for most of us is looking like the nicer day of the weekend. As far as temperatures are concerned, they're going to be pretty close to what we saw today, at least for most of us. Currently, we're sitting at 42 in Great Falls, 47 in Helena. Lewistown is at 39 degrees. Places like Miles City and Billings, where that cooler air and showers haven't swept through quite this yet, are still sitting in the 50s. Overnight lows tonight, pretty much everybody is going to end up in the 30s. 31 in Lewistown, 32 in Great Falls, 36 for the overnight low in Helena, 39 in Glasgow, and 36 in Jordan. Through the day tomorrow, temperatures not all that warm, still below average for this time of year. At least, though, we do make it into the 50s by the time we get into the afternoon hours. So not uncomfortably cold, excuse me, but definitely below average for this time of year. The actual highs right now, 62 in Helena, 58 in Great Falls. So Helena's not too bad. 54 in Lewistown, 60 in Jordan. You do notice west of the divide some warmer temperatures. Missoula, 70, out in places in Idaho, 81 degrees there. So not too bad for their high temperatures. In general, we're going to be cooling down even more, though, for Sunday. Most of us in the 50s, some of the cooler spots actually only seeing highs in the 40s. Lewistown, Hayes, Cutbank, all in the 40s for us on Sunday. So pretty chilly there. The good news through the weekend, though, a couple of showers to contend with, but Saturday is not looking like too windy of a day, and we'll fast forward into the day on Sunday, and the winds really aren't too much of a factor there either. So except for a couple of showers popping up, it's going to be relatively calm for the weekend, and it's going to be staying relatively cool for quite some time. 7-day forecast now, mostly sunny for our Saturday, 58 degrees, the high temperature there, 51, mostly cloudy, so definitely getting cooler by Sunday, also quite a bit cloudier, and we keep the clouds for quite some time. Pretty much all the way through Wednesday. We're looking at cloudy skies. See the temperature on Tuesday, pretty chilly, only 48 the high. We do start to rebound, though, toward the end of the forecast. Here's Helena's 7-day. Sunny and nice tomorrow, actually one of the nicer days of the forecast here. Clouds roll in by Sunday, and again, they stay with us through pretty much midweek next week before we start to clear out on Thursday and Friday, and temperatures jump back into the 60s. Tim?
Thanks, Brandon. One Montana community is taking to the field to honor its high school seniors. That story is next.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 10 o'clock news continues on Montana's news leader.
Well, anyone who's attended a vigilante parade knows that social distancing isn't feasible, but even though the parade was canceled this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, dozens of Helena teens honored the yearly tradition today with a vigilante cruise. MTN's John Riley has more.
Helena High and Capitol High students worked through a downpour Friday morning to get their vehicles ready for the vigilante cruise. The cruise was a citizen-organized event that allowed students to participate and honored the canceled Vigilante Day parade while still social distancing. Even through the rain, students had nothing but positive attitudes.
I think it's really cool. Like, I remember last year I was really wanting to do an actual vigilante float this year, and we couldn't because of the whole Corona thing. So I called up some friends of mine, and then we got this set up, and it isn't much, but it's a lot of fun.
I think we would have done a float if for the actual parade, so being able to do something for the cruise is cool.
The cruise ran through Last Chance Gulch, then past the Capitol building to St. Peter's Health. It ended with a drive by Touchmark and Hunters Point retirement communities. Most vehicles had signs celebrating the schools and students. Decorations tended to have a humorous theme, with many including toilet paper. Students participating said more than anything, it was just nice to do something to honor the tradition and celebrate the community and their schools.
My family has always gone to watch the Vigilante Parade, so we were pretty disappointed when we weren't going to have it this year, but it's exciting.
This is so fun. Like, yeah. I'm so glad that we could come out here and represent the barbecue club, because it's been a while.
So for the most part, we just got basically like Go Bruin stuff. We got a little bit of teacher appreciation and stuff like that, you know, because we do miss our teachers a lot, even if a lot of people say they don't.
Reporting from Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
Well, the COVID-19 pandemic has wiped out many milestones for the high school class of 2020. And in Browning, the school district is doing something fun to help lift spirits. Staff, parents, school board members spent 2 full days spray painting the name of all 130 seniors onto the field at Arrowhead Stadium. Tonight, they turned on the field lights and invited students and community members to drive by and cheer for the accomplishments of the class of 2020.
Our thought behind it was just to be able to show our seniors that we are thinking about them and that we're proud of each and every one of them and we care about them. We're just continuing to try to keep our morale up with our graduating seniors and keep a smile on their faces.
Congratulations to the class of 2020. We'll have a final look at weather when we come back.
Welcome back. Weekend forecast, not too bad, a little on the cool side. 62 though, the high temperature tomorrow in Helena. 55, quite a bit cooler there on Sunday. For Great Falls, cooler still, not making it into the 60s tomorrow despite a lot of sunshine, and quite a bit cooler on Sunday.
Well, here's one slice of advice from France that shouldn't be too hard to follow. Eat more cheese. Social distancing measures went into place in France in mid-March. The president of the country's Dairy Association says in the weeks following, sales of cheese started to crumble. It's now down about 60% since this time last year. The dairy group says people have been focused on buying more essential items over specialty cheeses. The group has now launched a campaign to remind people that you can never have too much cheese when sheltering in place. That is good advice, and I know, Brandon, being from Wisconsin, no one has to tell you that.
No, I 100% agree with that.
That's all the time we have. Have a great night.